thumbs up. Please hit subscribe. Please tell a friend or a family member or a crazy ex-girlfriend if they enjoy combat sports about this podcast. I'm sure they'd love it. This is the channel of Boxing, but today is yet another special that we call Unknown to Casuals. This is episode 3. We do about one a month, and we touch on 3 fighters at a time that you may not have heard of, whether you're a casual fan or one of those so-called avid boxing fans that still might not have heard of a bunch of these fantastic fighters. The purpose of doing these is not only because these fantastic fighters deserve your attention and for you to know their names, but also to help you out because pay-per-views get expensive. And even subscriptions, especially when you have multiple of them to multiple different platforms and they're coming out of your bankroll every single month. And it's nice to know people's names on the undercards and not only have to watch these cards for solely maybe even just one half of a main event. Our first guy deserves to be on this list like none other. A truly fantastic talent in boxing, highly underrated for his actual boxing skill, his ability, how long he's been in the sport, and also even his damn resume. He is Erislandy Lara. He is 29-3 with 3 draws as well. He has a lot of close fights on his resume. Some of them I thought that he won. We'll go over them now. He has wins over Carlos Molina, Paul Williams when he was 39-2. He had a draw against Van Martirosyan. Martirosyan was 32-0. He avenged that loss when he fought him later, and then also won. He beat Alfredo Angulo. He beat Austin Trout, which is an incredible name to have on your resume and have a win under. He had a split decision loss to Canelo in a fight that I absolutely thought that he won. He even beat Terrell Gosha, who is a pretty close to an A-side star under Showtime right now. Split decision loss to Jared Hurd. Split decision draw to Brian Castano, who just gave Jermell Charlo fits in their first fight, and even put in a really fantastic Fight of the Year contender in their second fight. Nice win last fight against a very tough Gary O'Sullivan, who was 31-4 at the time. Basically, Erislandy Lara, his style is being great at defense, really good foot movement. He knows how to get on his bicycle, but also can use incredible head movement. Go check out the Canelo fight that he had, in which I thought he won. Made it incredibly hard for Canelo to hit him. He is a fantastic talent. Even in his last fight, kind of switched it up, stuck that high guard up and walked his opponent down against a really tough Gary O'Sullivan with a fucking beard on him, and just beat him down over time. Erislandy Lara is as slick as they come as far as talent and boxing goes, and that resume is filled with other names that you really should know. It is a fantastic and highly underrated resume, and I believe Erislandy is a highly underrated boxer in general. I think he's already done amazing things in this sport. Definitely go check out Erislandy Lara. Lots of fun fights, and as I said before, lots of close fights. Whether you thought that he lost more and then it ended up being a draw, he also has a lot of fights that are split decision losses and draws that I thought that he should have won. He just kind of has one of those styles that either a judge will appreciate all the defense, or they won't. It just depends. Our next showcase fighter on this special Unknown to Casuals is none other than Egidijus Kavaliauskas, the Mean Machine. He is 22 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. Very good amateur record. He has a good amateur fighter. And when he fought David Avanesian, a shocking TKO. David Avanesian's a highly skilled fighter. I believe that, if I remember correctly, Egidijus Kavaliauskas was an underdog going into that fight. He TKOs David Avanesian. He fights, shocks the world. He fights Carlos Abreu, wins unanimous decision. He defeats an undefeated Roberto Ariaza, who was 17-0 at the time. Majority draw with Ray Robinson. Then they stick him in a fight with Terrence Crawford. Now, it's debatable on if a punch caused the drop, but he did have a great flurry nonetheless against Terrence Crawford and counted as being the first man to drop Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford gives this guy a lot of credit. Says, yeah, he hits hard. He's great at smothering opponents, but not smothering his own work when he's fighting on the inside. And he is never afraid of letting his hands go. Mean Machine got a fucking chin of steel on him as well. And dropping Crawford really just set the world on fire, even though he went on to be stopped in that fight. Then he goes on and has another good win against a 34-1 fighter. Then they stick him in there with Virgil Ortiz Jr., the up-and-coming talent under Golden Boy, who was undefeated at 17-0. And you know what he did in that fight? He fucking dropped and is the only one to have dropped Virgil Ortiz Jr. as well. He gives the impression these days that not only will he obviously be an extremely tough out for any fighter, even the A-class fighters, but basically at this point, it shouldn't shock you if he steps in there with virtually anyone in and around that welterweight weight division. And it shouldn't shock you at this point if he drops them. He's already dropped Crawford and Ortiz Jr. Absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, he has some boxing skill, but he is not at all on the level of a Terrence Crawford, right? As far as boxing ability, skill, ring IQ, not at all. This guy lives and dies on a tough guy mentality, being able to take shots to give him, and loves to make fights dirty and tear it up on the inside. Mean Machine is an incredible fighter who will never disappoint you, win or lose, in being in highly exciting fights. He is 1000% a fighter that you should be aware of. And the last man on our list today is a personal favorite of mine. I will try to shelf the bias, but yet again, we're not talking upcoming fights. We're trying to put you onto these fighters, and I think that I'm going to gas the fuck out of this guy right now. Gabriel King Rosado, although on this podcast, we like to refer to him as the Puerto Rican Rocky. He is 26-15-1. 26 wins, 15 losses, and 1 draw. That is not a good record. Do you know why? Do you know why that's not a good record? Some people don't have a good record because they're not a good fighter. The Puerto Rican Rocky, the man himself, Gabe Rosado, doesn't have a fantastic record because he has only, for the entire second half of his career, fought all killer, no filler. This resume is absolutely fucking ridiculous. He's on a winning spree, basically, gets a couple losses in between, always able to string together more wins. Then we reach a point where he fights Charles Whitaker. He beats him when Charles Whitaker was 38-12, beats Charles Whitaker. Then they stick him in a fight, say, you know what? You've always been a fun fighter. Now you have a good win, couple decent wins on your record. Let's throw you in there with Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, when he was 24-0, and he loses TKO. Gives a valiant effort there, did the best he could, and had the heart to step in there in the first place. Then he fights J. Leon Love, famous for being a trainer of Jake Paul these days. I mean, come on. But listen, that might be where you heard that guy's name. That was a no contest. Loses to Peter Quillen. Loses to Jermell Charlo. Loses to David Lemieux. And then, when his career is at risk, yet again, another hard fight. 5 back-to-back fights. A 39-4 Joshua Clottey. And he wins! Unanimous decision, sticking around. Strings another win together in there to put 2 in a row. 2 back-to-back losses. Willie Monroe Jr. when he was 20-2, and Martin Murray, an incredible fighter, when he was 34-4-1, strings together another win, has a decision, or split decision draw against Luis Aries, He fought Sulecki, lost unanimous decision in a good effort, strings together another win. Then they stick him in there with Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs was 36-3 at the time, and this was before Daniel Jacobs was taking any sorts of losses. This would have been a career-altering win, I believe, for Gabriel Rosado. He loses that fight by split decision. And I thought, for sure, 100%, although it was a close fight, I've watched it many times, and I'm highly confident after every single watch that Gabriel Rosado actually should have won that fight. Anyways, he goes on again. Who's he going to fight? The young up-and-comer, 7-0. Absolutely incredible, muscular, hits like a fucking mule. Bektemir Melikuziev, Bek the Bully. He wins this fucking fight as one of not only an underdog of the year win, but also a knockout of the year win after getting dropped twice, hurt, battered around the ring, dropped to the body, and then waits the whole count he can to try to gather himself, gets bullied all over again, getting hit, pushed right into a corner, and lands one beautiful counter on Bektemir Melikuziev. If you guys want to hear technical breakdown and things better suited for others than myself, right? Go check out Boxing Gems. I'm sure he can break this down for you, but I'm here to tell you that regardless of the actual things that he was looking for in the ring, the only reason that the man was able to be dropped that many times, hurt even to the body, which really makes a lot of fighters quit. The only reason that he was even able to have any sort of mindset to continue trying and to literally have zero success in this fight, but wait and keep trying without giving up to catch a perfectly timed counter while being cornered in the middle of the corner. The only reason he had the ability to do that was nothing more than sheer heart, will, determination, and some veteran savvy that he taught Bektemir Melikuziev, that young fighter, who has since gone on and strung together more wins and looks to be a different fighter that is less aggressive, and he was made that way by the Puerto Rican Rocky in an incredible underdog win. Then he goes on, fights a 37-0 Jaime Munguia, who knocks everyone out, and he did lose this fight, but he won some rounds in there, and the entire fight he made entertaining throughout, and Jaime Munguia hits incredibly hard like a truck and knocks everyone out. Everyone he knocks out. This went all 12 rounds, all the way to decision, and he lost by unanimous decision in what he was able to make an exciting fight, trying to bully back the bully, taunting Jaime Munguia in there, and doing some good work, winning some rounds, and having spots in that fight himself, and then unfortunately loses to, again, the name value, Sugar Shane Mosley Jr. has 17-4. He has an upcoming fight against Akhmedov. That's going to be another tough test. Guy's 18-1. Gabriel Rosado is a bit older at this stage in his career. I believe he is about 37 years old at this point, and just fighting nothing but these young, hungry guys. All killer, no filler for the Puerto Rican Rocky. And anybody who hates on that man's record, I fucking guarantee you're the same kind of person that says, you know what's wrong with boxing? Nobody wants to fight anybody that they can lose to. And nobody wants to fight good competition and make good fights. Gabriel Rosado has this record because he has lived and died by the mentality of true fight fans and what we want to see. And I appreciate that man. So until next time, loyal fight fans, I hope you enjoyed the fighters we touched on this week. I hope you look out for their names if you see them on some undercards, even a fight night main event here and there. And I hope that I blessed you with some knowledge. Until next time, stay loyal, fight fans.